Well, welcome everyone to the St. Louis Region Childhood Community Leader Meeting. This is our monthly meeting where we get together here in the St. Louis region, all things early childhood, um, and look at the bridge and resources that we have in the wonderful state of Missouri. Um, I keep welcoming more people in. This is great. Um, As a childhood community leader in one of the 7 regions, we work to connect, reflect, and lead together. We put children at the center of all the work that we're doing to ensure that they are kindergarten ready. And we're going to learn a lot about kindergarten readiness today. I'm still admitting people. I think we should go to the next slide, Mara, and I will continue to admit people in as they come in. My name is Lisa Graining, and I am the Executive Director of Turn the Page STL, St. Louis's chapter of the Campaign for Grade Level Reading. And I'm quite proud to be a St. Louis Region Childhood Community Leader because our work is around literacy, and literacy starts at birth. And I'd like to welcome my two co-leaders, Tiffany and Nakia.
Hi, I'm Tiffany Herbert. I work for the City of St. Charles School District, and I am an early childhood careers instructor.
Hi, I'm Nakia Brown and I'm with the United for Children. I am a program manager and I'm excited to see everybody who's joined today.
And I would be faster at getting people in. Oh, there we go. We got more. Next slide.
All right. Well, like Lisa said, we have an exciting day about kindergarten readiness. So we are going to start off with welcomes and questions. We will talk, we'll have 2 presentations today. And then we will also review our Missouri Family Resources, our newsletter, and then, of course, our Facebook page. One of our goals is to make sure that we're all connecting and communicating, and so that's a great way for us to do that. Next slide.
Nakia?
So, welcome everyone. If you can you please add your name, organization, and what has been happening with your work this summer, including summer learning resources, new research, preparation for the beginning of the school year, and the Missouri budget, funding, and etc. Anything you want to tell us?
And I'm just like, uh, gosh, so sorry, guys. I just vomited out so many things that are happening and are right now with so much of your work. Mara, I'm going to let you stop sharing, and Nakia can put the question in the chat. But I want to see everybody's faces. That's what I love. I love seeing everybody. Oh, yes. Hi, guys. Hi guys. See, some people you guys are coming off. You were not showing your video, and then when I want to see your pretty face, I can see it. Thank you all, so many of you for joining us. I know that we've had a rough year here in Missouri with funding for pre-K. Oh, Amy, I haven't seen you forever. It's good to see you. Hi. So, would anybody like to come off mute and just talk about what is going on with summer? What you're seeing, whether it's in your center, whether it's your organization, resources that you would like to have, resources that you are enjoying, and any questions that you may have regarding early childhood in Missouri and early childhood specifically in St. Louis. And I can always call people out too.
Lisa, I'll go first.
Awesome.
Technically, I don't really meet as many of the requirements, and I'll have to hop off, probably about 20 minutes or so. So I apologize for that. So my name is Jasmine Holmes. It says Johnson, but I'm Holmes now. I am Director of Service at the Community Impact Network, where we support and build equity here in the 24-1. And if you are not familiar with the 24-1 is, it is a collection of now about 22 small municipalities that feed into and support and service the Normandy Schools Collaborative. So we support, we are a place-based organization, so we specifically support that work. And so we ourselves, our summer is a little bit different. We're supporting our partners, but one of our partners is the Legacy Center, and they have been running a fantastic summer program. So it's been super great to be able to watch the children be able to grow, be able to see the great work Lisa and them are also doing within the Legacy Center. My background is in Blueprint 4, so I used to compile all of the summer programs that were happening in the region. So to be able to see people are still engaged and doing such a good work is a little bit about myself and who I am.
Which brings me to, really quickly, everyone, we Turn the Page STL infuses an hour of literacy a day and pays for high impact tutoring at the Legacy Center, among other places. And we piloted this year in an early childhood center that takes school age children at Williams Academy. And so if you are interested in next summer, or even after school, working with school age children and making sure that they can read proficiently, reach out to me at any time. Anybody else? What's going on?
So we have in the chat, Shelley said Gateway Regional YMCA have over 2.2 million reading minutes for all of their camps so far this summer.
Big shout out. Fantastic. Fantastic. Just come off mute. I want to hear more of the good stuff.
Well, I'm Sarah Padberg.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi. I'm with Springboard to Learning, and what our organization does for anybody who is not familiar, we take arts integrated programming into the schools to enhance and learning engagement and academic rigor. So what we've been doing this summer is so we've been supporting summer school programming, both during the summer school day and for after care for summer school. We've also been in some what we primarily do with early childhood is called our Wolf Trap program, which is really targeted for early childhood, both students with special needs and gen ed early childhood. And I mean, we have specific data that shows that the Wolf Trap Arts Integration programming truly improves early childhood learning, and we all know that early intervention and early childhood learning is so critical. So, so we're excited to be here, and we're very active this summer.
It's wonderful. Our kids need so many great experiences, especially at younger and younger ages, and that really builds their kindergarten readiness. Anything else? I keep looking at Casey because, of course, I'm always looking at Casey. And I know that you're going to be presenting in August again about Child Care Works, but how did that finally shake out with the budget for Missouri?
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Most of the childcare funding stayed as it was. There was the Child Care Works funding, the legislature had added in funding to bring it up to 5 million. That was restricted by 2.5 million. So we're kind of in the same place we were last year with a little bit more budget authority. Should the funds be available? Subsidy was mainly in the same place. There were some specific funds restricted, but it seems like more of a technical thing than anything actually being cut or restricted. So I don't think that affects the bottom line too much. I think the main challenges right now is subsidy are around the wait list. There's over 7,300 children now on the wait list. That wait list hasn't moved yet, so that's a big concern. And I think there's a group now convening to work on the market rate survey. So that happens every 3 years to determine rates or help determine rates and inform the next state plan that will be due to the federal government. So that group is starting to meet. We advocated to get more provider representation on that group, and I think that happened. So that's nice to see. There's another group also convening. Well, I guess I should say the big news that came this week was there was the move last year to move us toward a system that was based on payment on enrollment for providers rather than attendance. This year, there were some efforts to completely eliminate that. We negotiated a bit and were able to kind of get them to the negotiating point of potentially giving providers additional absences because basically the legislature decided we're going to stay on an attendance-based system. So we advocated, they did put in language that would allow DESE to put in 10 more or up to 10 absences a month to get a little bit closer to like a payment on enrollment system. But they announced this week that they are not intending to give any new absences or additional absences at this point for providers. So that will stay at 5 absences a month. But I think the greatest concern, yeah, is just the wait list that continues to grow.
How can
And so they're going to be convening a group as well as dictated by the budget to look at rates and enhancements and access for families and balance those things. So I would say it is highly likely that there will be reductions in the rates that providers are paid for subsidy, or there will be a change in how the enhancements are done. Because I think the reality is without doing those things, the wait list will continue not to move as well unless there's more money put into the program. So I'm sure most people know on the call, or if not, we're going into an extremely tight budget year. We had a tight budget year this past year. Next year will be even tighter for the state, and so there will be cuts happening across the budget. And so, the legislature, that will be their focus, is figuring out ways they can cut and trim from the budget. And then, of course, our focus as advocates will be ensuring we're doing what we can to protect the programs like childcare, like Medicaid, and others that serve our children and families. So.
How can Casey, or maybe you can put this in the chat, how can people get involved if they want to get involved in the market rate survey? And what is the best way for us to keep track of the wait list also, which I think everybody here is quite concerned about?
Yeah, so I'll have to look while the other presentation's going, maybe to find some links and things for you. The wait list is reported on every month. So there are reports on the subsidy caseload, the CCDF reports on the Office of Childhood website. It's not super intuitive to find, so I can try to link people toward
Thank
there.
you.
But those get reported on monthly, but they are kind of lagged. So we've just been, looking at those reports, but then also the Office of Childhood, they've been pretty, if we ask, they'll let us know how things are going with the wait list. We've been trying to keep people updated through, we have a statewide childcare coalition that meets monthly and other things. So I don't know if I think they have a group that's comprised of providers and partners that are working through the market rate survey. I don't know that that's like anyone can get involved in, but the main way providers get involved is by completing the market rate survey. And it's very important that providers actually take the time to do that because it ultimately informs what they will be paid. And there is information about the age of children on the wait list. So that was something we did have them add. There's some information about location as well, but it's not perfect, so to speak. The other program we work on and administer, of course, is Childcare Works. which is more of a program that splits the cost of childcare between employers, the state, and parents. We do have a lot of providers participating in Childcare Works as employers. And one thing that we've noticed is there's an uptick in people that make below 150% of federal poverty, which would be the subsidy cutoff, who are now applying for Childcare Works because they're employees of childcare centers, obviously, and with the wait list, they might not be able to access subsidy either. So, I think unfortunately there will be a lot of like ripple effects to this wait list. Something we're very concerned about is, a lot of providers had kids that are going to graduate into kindergarten. If they can only fill those slots with subsidy families and those families aren't approved and they have to go on the wait list, there's no end in sight to when those slots can be filled. So, it's not great right there, but please just continue to reach out to us, get involved with our Child Care Coalition that meets monthly. If you're not on our email list, sign up for that. And, we try to keep folks at least informed of these things throughout the year. But we are, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. So everyone, Casey, if you don't know, is with Kids Win Missouri. Highly, highly recommend that you get on their website, you get involved in the Child Care Coalition monthly meetings. And I will make sure in our newsletter that we talk about those Child Care Coalition meetings. We also now send out to 699 St. Louis region providers a monthly e-newsletter. So we'll make sure that that market rate survey is pushed hard. Awesome. And everybody get involved in Kids Win Missouri. Look at all the things that Lisa Shear just put in the chat. And we're going to move on. And Marcia, we saw your question. Maybe Casey or Lisa can answer your question about pre-K. So with that, Mara, will you share our PowerPoint again? Thank you, Casey. It was wonderful. Okay, next slide. I just wanted to shout out that if you'd like a copy of this flyer or look on this flyer, these are all the things the Office of Childhood programs, Parents as Teachers, our child care subsidy program that we were just talking about, inclusion services, Missouri Family Resources. We talk about Missouri Family Resources a lot. Please, please share with your families this database. First Steps, Early Childhood Special Education, Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Initiatives. And then there's always these great tips for families we'd love for you to share with your families. Next slide.
All right, ready for a presentation. Our first speaker is Beth Lothan. She is from the Office of Childhood. She's going to be sharing about the kindergarten entry assessments and also the kindergarten observation form, two great tools.
And thank you, Beth, for coming.
Absolutely.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I think my PowerPoint, we found it earlier, all our PowerPoints are different sizes, so we're adjusting here on the fly, not a problem. Like these amazing ladies said, my name is Beth Lathan. I am the preschool programs coordinator here in the Office of Childhood. And what that basically means is I have quite a few projects in my little team of 3 that we work through that support preschool programs here in the state. One of them being the kindergarten entry assessment, but just so you know, we also take care of any of our curriculum approvals in my office. We also do the MELS, the Missouri Early Learning Standards. We also facilitate the MOQPK grant. So if your school district or child care or Head Start received an MOQPK grant or is in the process of getting fully awarded for that, my team takes care of that as well. And we are also the ECSE, or the Part B Early Childhood Special Education coordinator that works with the Office of Special Education here in the department. So I think that's it. I'm looking at my board that where I keep my to-do lists, and I think that's about it. But I'm specifically here just to kind of run through the kindergarten entry assessment and the KOF for you all today, and just kind of answer some of those high level things that we are doing with both of these from our office. So, next slide. So the purpose of the kindergarten entry assessment, again, is to inform instruction at our school districts, to help inform families about their child's skills and behaviors, and to inform policy at the district level. One thing that I kind of think about with our kindergarten entry assessment and the KOF is kind of an umbrella, maybe. The kindergarten entry assessment is an entire kind of program, and the KOF is one option within that program. The kindergarten entry assessment, and I'll kind of talk about this later, it is required by our districts to complete if they would like to earn points on their MSIP. So we've been able to connect that, and they answer some very simple yes or no questions to pull data. So again, the KOF is the one piece of the kindergarten entry assessment that is required by districts. Next slide. So when we're thinking about kindergarten entry assessments, this is what we want them to be. They need to be reliable, and they need to be administered within the first few weeks of kindergarten. And I think this is a really important point. This is that snapshot of what kindergarten entry looks like. This is how prepared they are. It's really just that capture of that moment and all kind of the work that happened prior to that, right? And we really want to grab that. And then all other assessment is grabbing that how are we learning throughout our kindergarten year, and what's learning going to look like beyond. We really support that all of these assessments must be administered or should be administered by a kindergarten teacher. We want it to be someone that child is familiar with, all those assessment protocols that you all probably already know, but familiar and easy for that child to kind of grab the most reliable results. We also want them to align with any of our early learning standards like the MELS, which is why we have our 3 suggested tools. And we want the results to easily be translated for families and stakeholders like yourselves. You know, anything that's out there that school districts have, and as far as this kindergarten entry data, we want it to be able to be shared with school boards and community leaders and such. And it needs to cover these essential domains of school readiness: language and literacy, cognition and general knowledge, social emotional development, approaches to learning, and physical well-being and motor development. And that is what they report on our state data reporting side. So just a little about what a KEA is. Next slide. Here are our tools. So here's that umbrella, right? In each little like arm, we have the KOF, which is the kindergarten observation form. But districts could also choose to use the DRDP-K or the Brigance. It is up to them. It is their choice. But we've really worked to make the KOF available to districts. Next slide. So the KOF is currently available to districts at no charge for this school year. Unfortunately, as Casey had mentioned earlier, budget cuts are real, and we are seeing that impact as things are moving forward. So we have already shared with districts that starting in 27, we will not be able to fund the KOF completely. We are going to have to start charging districts to utilize it and get training. But the company that has the KOF has ASR, Applied Survey Research. Their school readiness team is fantastic, and they were working on a very reasonable rate for that. Fingers crossed, you know, if something comes our way and I have my magic wand, as I had said earlier to this group, we will wave it and see what we can do. But as of right now, we're preparing to help school districts transition to purchasing and paying for the KOF for their upcoming year. Teachers and whoever's going to administer the KOF gets to participate in training provided by the school readiness team at Applied Survey Research. It is all online. There is no in-person. It's very user teacher friendly in that way. It comes to them in the summer. They can kind of grab it, do it, and they're ready to roll once school starts. one thing that we do have through the department and in our office is a point of contact. So I think when they were beginning this and kind of in the throes of setting up, offering the KOF to districts, we kind of needed one person, right, to come to us with questions and issues. So districts have to establish a point of contact. That's typically an administrator, a principal, who kind of has control over the data and what gets put in. And they tell us who their teachers are, who will be administering, who needs the training. So we don't have all teachers coming to us with questions, or if they have access trouble, things like that. So we've established this point of contact. And so all summer long, it's great. We send out the message, and all summer long, districts are just signing up. I think right now we're at about 700 schools, we have about 700 points of contact. So that's a lot of administrators hopping in and saying, hey, my building's doing this and my teaching team is doing this. So that's just kind of how it is. What we do on our end is we help kind of organize that point of contact, make sure emails are going out, and training. Just some things we've heard about the KOF in general is just that it's easy. It's quick, and that districts appreciate that opportunity to kind of have something that teachers can grab, do, and then get going on everything else that they have to do on their to-do list. So next slide, please. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So it's busy. And I promise you, all of this is out on our website. I just kind of condensed it. You can see how we started the KOF in 2021 and having that available. And then every year, you can see how many participating districts and how we've grown from 46 in the pilot to up to almost 5. I think we'll be at 500-ish. I think maybe a little over 459 this year. And just the number of how many KOFs have been administered. And then the percent of children ready has pretty much remained the same, or steady. And then in the highest domains, I have to say, as I was kind of digging through this, I was really excited to see, that first year we have physical development. Okay. And then as the years progressed, we see those other areas jump in, cognition, general knowledge, physical development. And I will tell you, when you go through and read the reports, all these percentages are so close. I mean, it is a literal tie in some of this data on what the highest domain is. And I don't think any of us who are in early childhood would be surprised that the lowest domain first couple of years was language and literacy, but I think we've been doing some things to put language and literacy in the forefront. So glad to see that it's no longer the lowest, but social emotional development, and I see a typo, darn it, sorry, I apologize, continues to be low. And we just are always thinking about ways that we can support our children and our families in those areas. So if you go to our website, which I can put a link in the chat later, you can see every annual report that we get from Applied Survey Research, and it will list all the districts that participated. It will tell you how many KOFs a particular district administered. It will give you some highs and lows and domains and just some more specific information. So that's always out there and available to anyone to go out and grab. Next slide. And I'm kind of flying through this, so I apologize, ladies. Just to kind of talk about KEA reporting, again, kind of that umbrella. It was hard for me when I first came to this position a year ago. I was like, wait, we have the KOF and we have the KOA. Are we talking about the same thing? What's happening? Like, what is this? So districts administer their chosen tool. The majority of those tools is either the KOF, and then some of them do the other two. Then they take that KOF data, or Brigance or DRDP, and they put it into one of our DESE student tracking systems. It's called MOSIS. And that is due by October. So again, that's why we want you to do it early. We're not going to do it later. It's due in October. They basically go through for every child and say, whether or not they're ready, yes or no, in 6 areas, and then they tell us what tool they used. And once they complete that, and as long as they have completed a kindergarten entry assessment, not particular the KOF, whatever they've picked, on a certain percentage of their students, they will receive their points for their annual reporting. So again, just really putting the emphasis on capturing if they're ready, where their strengths are, and kind of just grasping that. And then they get a great deal. One thing I didn't talk about, so I'm going to go back to KOF. Districts really get a great amount of data and information about their students and can really use it. So again, it's very user friendly, and it kind of all just gets generated for them. So we get some really great feedback just on how they can use that. So again, that's just the KEA reporting on how they report any of those whichever 3 tools they use. And next slide. Just kind of looking ahead, this is kind of my last slide. If you guys have any thoughts on if you have a particular way you've used this data, I would love to know it. If there's a way that it's been helpful to you. We in our office are really thinking about the importance of that transition into kindergarten and kindergarten readiness. As we toured this spring and did our monitoring for our MOQPK grants, it was so awesome to hear that MOQPK classroom made my transition and my kindergarten readiness so much easier. It was such a breeze. Kids are in the same hallway. They know the teachers know them, they know the families. So we're really thinking about kindergarten transition and kindergarten readiness in our office, and would love if you have an idea. I had kind of thrown out to Lisa, we've been toying with doing some kind of kindergarten readiness summit where maybe we gather and talk about best practice on how we support families in this transition. What can we do? So if you have an idea or something you'd like to see our office support you in that way, we're happy to do so, or we need some ideas. So, and we're maybe thinking about a kindergarten transition or kindergarten readiness toolkit, kind of some ideas of what school districts can do to support that transition and readiness. So yeah, that's kind of what it is. It's from our perspective, it's a very big picture, but we're very excited for districts to have this data at hand and to be able to use it to guide their conversations about the importance of early childhood, the importance of pre-kindergarten, kindergarten readiness. What does that even mean? What does that look like? And again, we're really excited about how teacher friendly the KOF is. At least that's what we're hearing. And that, our friend Cassidy, who's on our team, she was a kindergarten teacher and she did the KOF. So she's been a great perspective. She helps us out with this project. And so she's got a great perspective on that. So I will stop talking because I know I probably
Excellent,
talked
Beth.
super fast so that Dr.
Excellent.
March can give her amazing presentation. But if you have questions, next slide, if you don't mind, has all my contact information. Feel free to reach out. I did not list all the activities in our office, but if you have a question that's not KEA related, it's something else about MOQPK, curriculum, early childhood special education. I have a lot of questions about that. So we get a lot of those in our office. So please reach out. We're happy to help. My team's here for you. So
Thank you, Beth. I think we always need to know when we're in the early childhood field where we're headed. Where are we headed with these kids? And that KOF really gives you a great snapshot of where we need to be headed. So I hope everyone takes a look at it. I hope everyone shares it with their colleagues to say, in this work, where are we going and how are we supporting school districts? And I will also tell you that I think some of the work that we also need to do is how do we align our early childhood programs with our public school districts? That's a big part of what we're trying to do in this region, so that that transition is smoother, and that we're all working together for children and families.
and that's one of those things in that toolkit that we're kind of tossing around, kind of pulling together here in the office is what are things that childcare providers are doing that are connecting to school districts? How are you helping support your families? We'd love to be able to pull together, again, kind of down the road and kind of, you know, we're just in the idea phase now, but um,
Let's do it.
what activities are
Let's do it.
working?
And
What's working,
yeah,
what's
and
not?
Maggie, I see Maggie in with the St. Charles City County Library, and I know the St. Louis County Library. I think Laura's on here somewhere, and the St. Louis Public Library all have some sort of kindergarten readiness um, event. I think United for Children even does also. And so maybe we bring everybody kind of together around best practices so that we can reach more families and not just the traditional schools, but looking at how libraries can support this
Oh, I
and
love that. How the
care
community.
centers,
I
the
used to
whole
work with the
community.
Department of Health and in their school health program, and we talked a lot too about connecting to those dental, your school nurses. How do we connect that
Yeah.
whole school community to those kindergartners coming in to get that best start? So I love that. That's great. We'll talk
That's-
offline and see what we can't get something
And you
going.
guys just stay tuned because
We'll
we
let you know what
will,
we come up with.
yes. And if you have any input,
Yeah, for sure.
share it with Beth, share it with me, Tiffany, Nikia. Um, all right. Well, Nikia, do you want to jump in here?
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
So our next presentation really follows what we just learned. And so we will be talking about assessing pre-K students, the preschool observation form, better known as the PKOF, with Dr. Samantha March, who is an early childhood education enthusiast and associate partner at the Opportunity Trust.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for such a wonderful introduction, Nakia, and thank you for having me, Lisa, and the regional St. Louis Early Childhood Community Team. I really appreciate that for allowing me to come here and just drop some knowledge today. I want to say that over time, being with the St. Louis Pre-K Cooperative, we have really done some great work with utilizing this PKOF form with our wonderful partners that are on the call. We have some folks here that I see that have done great work with implementing this observation form twice annually, once in the fall and once in the spring. And I can say that we have partners on here such as Lisa Shear from Dayton, who's utilized this form over the years. And some of our others, we now have 70 partners plus in the PK, the St. Louis Pre-K Cooperative. And I just want to acknowledge that we utilize Mark for our services to be able to collect the data. We use ASR for our data collection system. So all of it goes into the system with ASR, kind of similar to what Beth spoke of. And then Mark is our second partner that comes in and says, okay, after you put all this data into the system, we're going to create reports that synthesize the information and also kind of delineate and categorize. So we do reports on each of the tiers that we have in the cooperative, as well as the LEA partners. And then we have Head Start that's a part of our system as well. And that way we can kind of categorize and see where the whole system is, how the whole system is doing, and then also kind of a breakdown of each of the categories. I also want to acknowledge on this PowerPoint, I apologize, it has been left off that United for Children is really who kind of developed a lot of the information that's in this PowerPoint. So I do want to make sure I recognize everyone who has contributed. If we can get on with the slideshow, that would be great. And then just the topics of discussion is really what I use this for when I'm doing my presentation. So we've already kind of got into our introductions, but I'll just kind of go over these different discussion topics as we maneuver on throughout this presentation. And so why do we measure school readiness? I want to point out that this provides a snapshot That means we are capturing where the student is at that time period. So in the fall, we're measuring around that September, October period. And then in the spring, we'll be measuring again around that April, May. Like, we try not to go too far in May because we know that the young learners are kind of getting exhausted with school, and our educators as well. We can be honest about that. But we do want to note where they are at that time. It's never used to diagnose or label a student. This is not an evaluating teaching tool for the adults. So for the students, we're using this to say, hey, this is where they are. This is depending on the indicators that we're using that we'll get into. This is the milestones that they're completing. These are the things that they're doing well. We can talk to our parents about that. These are the things that they're doing well. These are the areas that we could kind of use a little bit more attention to. And then for our teachers, we always want to emphasize that we're not evaluating them based upon what the student does or doesn't know. And these are helpful information as to why we measure the school readiness. And we'll go on to the next slide from there. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. So just find that right match and using the PKOF tool is very important. And it just, I'm sorry, that's really on. Let's go ahead on to the next slide. And we can just talk about what the tools are that we use to assess. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
next slide.
Yep. No, go back. They got it right.
Oh.
Yeah. And so just why we're using the tools and what we use to assess. So we use that pre-kindergarten observation tool. And that's important because remember, we're just capturing those milestones or where the students are, and we're reporting out on that. But we also want to make sure that we capture the parents' view. We want the parents' information. So there is a form that is in alignment with that. Because there are some times where the parents are saying, yes, this is what the student's doing at home. And we can say, that's in alignment with what we see here. Or there's times where the parent is putting in their information about what they see at home. And we say, oh, wow, that's a little different. That's not what we're seeing here at school, plus or minus. And how can we find ways to, get on a better page? And so that's why it's always good to say what we're seeing at school and also what we're viewing at home. And then here are the different domains. I love this form because it really categorizes what each of the areas that the students are being rated on. So we have our language and literacy, we have our cognition and general knowledge, we have social emotional development, we have approaches to learning, and we have physical development. In each of these domains, this tool, which is research-based, remember, shows what the different breakdown is. And you guys can always refer back to this slide right here to know why why the teachers are evaluating what they are. These are very important indicators. And right now, what is trending is the socio-emotional development is unfortunately the lowest. We're seeing this because of all the screen time, because of all the lack of in our communication. And I'll say a lot of this is unintentional. Parents are really not understanding that this screen time can be high uses of screen time can be very detrimental. It's like to me, it's a domino effect. You're on the screen, so now you're not talking. You're on the screen, so now you're not really, it really takes away from the student's attention span because parents don't realize all that looping of those videos. It makes the student, now they're expecting everything to be choppy. So now when you're trying to work on something for 15 minutes, like, oh my gosh, that's such a long time. They want to go here, they want to go there, instead of really focusing in on what's going on. And so social emotional is something that's very important. And that's the area that everybody has to start working on, and we have to start pushing our parents really and encouraging them to really limit the screen time, or provide them with different ways that they can uh, do one-on-one interactions. One thing I always promote, and I'm kind of going off script here, is in my household, we've always done screen-free dinner.
Mhm.
Easy way to say no TV, no iPads, no phones. Come to the table. How are you doing? What happened today? What you doing tomorrow? Whatever it is the case may be, I tell my kids' teachers, they're now 14, 15, 17, and 21. But back in the day, when they were this age, I would tell their teachers, this is a time at dinner when we highlight what's going on, what's some good stuff that they're doing, and then I would kind of like give them little accolades to give them that intrinsic motivation, because nowadays we have so much extrinsic. Oh, you get $5 for A's and all this. No, what did you do? Let's give you a round of applause, a pat on the back, and a hug. So these are just different
Mhm.
ways. And then also going in on here, this was in developing partnership with those early childhood experts. It really just, you can look at those bullet points, but really one big thing is about those longitudinal studies. That's something that people don't really realize. Is I did that when I was back in the day at people know me as being a former director of early childhood for St. Louis Public Schools, and I did a longitudinal study to see where those students were faring at from pre-K and where they were in the upper grades. And every time, every grade, even though I do want to admit we had a lot of attrition in SLPS. So the starting group was not as large as the ending group, but every time those students that went to a pre-K program outperformed the students that did not. Total percentage
Amen.
rise. No brainer. So using this PK observation form will be beneficial now, and it can be beneficial later if we can keep on going with the slide, because I could go on and on about this all day. This is the actual form. So it is a low lift form. This is the demographic portion, the beginning of it. And what I would have to say, the tedious part about this whole thing that teachers do not like and that I have absolutely no control over is they have to do this form at the beginning and the end. It does not transfer over, unfortunately. They have to enter all this information in the fall, and they have to enter it all in the spring. And then the next slide, we'll see the actual PKOF form. These are the questions. This is it. Now, this form is a written printed form, and so anybody can do the rating. Okay. What I encourage is that the teachers are actually in rating the students. Oh, excuse me, anybody, I apologize. The teacher does the ratings. I apologize. I misspoke. They do the ratings because they know the students, and that's best. It's not best for the instructional coach. It's not best for the leader that's working, that comes in and pushes in. It's not best for the language pathologist. It's best for the teacher that has the closest relationship, teacher or teacher assistant. Because I don't want to count out those teacher assistants. They do some incredible work. Okay. It's best for the educators that are in the room with the maximum time with the students. Now, from there, anybody can do the actual input of the data. Because remember, it has to go into the ASR online system. That is so that everybody at the school site can view the information. I can view the information as a co-op leader. So in a school district, if you're thinking about this, the school district will be able to, or the child care center, the administrator or whatnot will be able to see all their classrooms. Again, anybody can enter the rating. Now, from that rating, you're going to get a dynamic report. Putting it in an electronic system allows the electronic system to do what it needs to do. So if we can go on to the next slide. Now, here's that rating scale. I won't go into this too much because this is not a PKOF training, but this is why they are rating on 1 to 4. starting with that not yet and then the progression levels. Of course, when we think about our little young learners, we want to give them a progression level. We want to give them an opportunity to say, you know what, they're just now beginning to demonstrate this skill, and then maybe later on, towards the end, we really want everybody to be at proficient. We really want the kids to be scoring higher, and we would expect for them to be scoring lower in the fall, of course, according to their ability levels. And we want to make sure that we're nurturing them on that, and letting the young learners and their parents know that it's okay. It's okay to come into a classroom at 36 years old, 36, excuse me, not years, 36 months old at 3 years old, and not being able to grasp a pencil. It's okay. But by the end of the year, hopefully we will see that they're now beginning to grasp their pencil, or they're in progress. And then by the time that there are 4 and 5 year olds getting ready to go to kindergarten, of course, we want them to demonstrate being able to hold that pencil, grasp it, make letters, form their name, different things like that, because they have gotten so much rich, high quality instruction from their teachers.
Dr. March, due to time, I would
Okay.
really love, and you guys will have the whole slide deck. I would love to get to that last slide
Let's do
of
it.
your presentation. And I also want you to answer the question, the centers that you work with, do they pass on the PKOF results to the kindergarten teachers? So that they have a basis, and then the kindergarten teachers, do they pass it on to the first grade teachers, the KOF? Is there
That's a good question,
pass-
Lisa. Good question.
So
So just starting on this report. So this is what a general report looks like. This is so that we can see where the students are with their proficiency levels. We do have trainings in the cooperative that hone in on just the actual report. So after we have a training that says, like, this is how you do the PKOF when it's PK off time. And then in the fall, in the winter time, I have, now that you got your results back, this is how you get the reports off the system, and this is what you do with them. So that's the good thing about being in a pre-K cooperative, and everything I do is free of charge. So I work with all the different conveners and presentation folks to do that. And then to answer your question, that is something that we would like to begin working on, Lisa. But that latter is something that I have not had the opportunity to do, because think about, now we can do it internally. We've done it internally with those LEAs, because we know that they're going from, let's say, Premier Charter pre-K to Premier Charter kindergarten, Gateway Science pre-K to Gateway Science kindergarten. Now, when we, have Samantha March Early Childhood Center, I got 15 pre-K students going to 10 different schools. It's a little bit harder to follow.
the crux of that's what we're talking
So
about.
what
That
I encourage
transition.
is,
We got to figure out.
what I encourage is the kindergarten, whenever they go to kindergarten, should be reaching out to the childcare centers. Where did you go to school at? Okay, let me reach out to that school and get the information that I need. Because again, using those two examples of elementary schools that are in my network, Premier might be looking for something different than Gateway Science is for their, let's say, student profile. But they can, if the PKOF is available, then they can't use it. And then it's, again, everybody's not doing a PKOF. That's a requirement of my program, because I know that it is a reliable data tool, and I know that it is the prerequisite of what Beth is talking about with the state. So why not go ahead and align those two things early on as much as possible? So that is
Amazing.
A requirement of for my partners to receive their grant funding.
So, Dr. March, we're going to take this PowerPoint down and go back to our community leader PowerPoint, but I would love for you to put in the chat, and I'll send it out in our newsletter, your contact information for those who would like to apply to get the PKOF training from you. and maybe have other questions.
Sure, no problem. You want me to put my information in chat, or will you be sending it out with the
I'll be
email?
sending out, but if you want to put it in, I bet you're going to have a lot of people
Okay.
responding. It's amazing the work both you, Beth, and Samantha do. And I think it's just a matter of we got the resources and the tools. Now we need to just bring them together. So I apologize for the time. Tiffany, Nakia, and I would like to share a few resources, and then we'll continue the discussion in August. Missouri Family Resources. Our kids don't have food, they can't learn. Missouri Family Resources is a database, it's an app that you can share with all of your families. They put in their zip code, they can find everything from transportation, housing, food, resources, all the resources that families with young children need. Please, please, please put this on your website or Facebook page and tell us that you're doing that so that we can get the word out. Next slide.
So the community leaders have 2 monthly newsletters that will come out via email. One after this meeting and then one at the beginning of each month. And if you would like to have your organization information included into the email, please contact Lisa.
Next slide.
All right, and we've already talked about this before, but collaboration. Every month, we have great collaboration, and this is a time for us to be able to share all throughout the month. So please join our Facebook page and post interesting events that are happening, trainings. This is a great way, again, to network. So please, if you haven't already joined our group, please join it, and then make sure that you're giving us information and posting.
And does anybody know people that aren't here that need to be in this room? If you know of any additional early childhood educators in the St. Louis region, please, please introduce them to Tiffany, Nakia, and me. We also, you share with us what you're doing. You can post it on Facebook, but you can directly share it with us. We sent out 2 monthly e-newsletters, as Nakia said, and we will add that information to them. And remember, we send every month I'll send an email reminder on our Google folder, and everything we talk about is in that Google folder. And please share with all of your stakeholders.
And Lisa, you said you would share this slide deck too, so we can get those links that you just
Yes, absolutely.
shared
So you will
previous.
get by the end of the week a newsletter from me that will include a video of this. It'll include our minutes, notes, and it'll include the 3 slide decks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, Tiffany, you want to take us out?
Yeah.
Or
Best
does
thing.
anybody have another question? We have 2 minutes. I really want to thank both of our presenters. Did a phenomenal job today. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Samantha. I thought I knew everything, and clearly I learned a whole lot today. So thank you.
I got a quick question.
Yes, Marsha.
Was she going to put in the first presenter about where we could go and look at more detail about each district and how the kids, the information? I didn't see it in the chat yet, the link.
Beth, just so
Unless it's
that,
in
so
here.
Marsha works at Riverview Gardens School District, so I bet she would like to see the KOF
I
results.
would.
Beth, if you're going to put that in the chat or you want to send it to me, I will send that out to everyone.
Maybe she got off already because it
I
looks like
think I just put it in there. Sorry, I had to get to it. I have too many tabs open.
okay.
So it's just the link to the kindergarten entry page.
Okay.
And then there's a bunch of different tabs you can look. And when you go to the one that is kindergarten observation form, that will have all the annual reports listed where you can
Okay.
get that data.
Okay. All
And once
righty.
again, anybody on this call has a question after this meeting, reach out to Tiffany, me, or Nakia, and we will do our best to answer the question. And most importantly, if we can't, we'll find the right person to answer it. All
Thanks,
right.
everybody.
And Tiffany.
Yes, make sure that you're putting this on your calendar and let us know again if there's anybody else that you think should be a part of this great work. But we will see you Wednesday, August 19th. That's our next meeting, 12:30 to 1:30 on Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
And Mara, you can